Throughout this year, I've shared many rigs regarding my GFX 102, and they've been pretty big because I've mainly been showing it for production and how I use it for production. But in today's video, I'm going to show you what it looks like for my compact rigs for the GFX system, for running and gunning, and just for capturing content on the go. Also, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Joshua. I'm a full-time filmmaker and YouTuber. And if you're interested in Fujifilm cameras for filmmaking, please check out in the description below. I have an extensive playlist of Fujifilm videos I've been making over the last 2 years, from the X-H2S, a little bit of the X106, and then now the GFX 100. So I would greatly appreciate if you check that out if you're curious, but also please like, subscribe, and share this video if it's useful in any way. Let's get into it. All right, so the first rig I'm going to show you is a super compact rig with no cage. And really the star of this rig is actually this little attachment here. This is the EVF tilt adapter from Fujifilm. Nobody else makes this but them. It's extremely overpriced and I just don't understand why. It's actually more expensive than their actual EVF that goes to the camera. Make that make sense, Fujifilm. But anyway, I decided to rent it, and this is what I always recommend to everyone who reaches out to me and say, hey, what about this piece of gear? If you're in the US and you have a little bit of money to spare, rent it so you understand the experience. I didn't want to spend $500 on this thing without knowing if I'm actually going to use it. And so far, I like it. So simply enough, you have your camera, your GFX 102, and this works on all GFXs that have removable EVFs. So you just pop this on. It doesn't lock in. I thought this was a lock, but this is a lock for the swivel option here, not a lock for the EVF, which is kind of disheartening. But anyway, that's what it looks like. You also have a lock here for the tilt. You can lock that in and it doesn't budge. But essentially you pop that on. Here's the EVF. This is by far the best EVF on any hybrid camera I've ever used. It's big, it's bright, it's detailed, and I absolutely love it. And so you just pop this on like that. It doesn't lock in either. It does this normal thing. And there you go. This allows me to have a better point of contact. I don't have to use a monitor. Like I said, the EVF inside is big and bright, and I can just rock it like that. So that's what that looks like here. Let's finish building this out real quick. I've been exploring with the 645 Mamiya lenses, and this here is the Kip-On. Let me get that close. This is the Kip-On 0.8 adapter for the 645 lenses. And I'm actually making a lens test, so make sure you stick around and subscribe because I will be releasing that video very soon. But this is what this looks like. It's a speed booster for medium format cameras. And some of you might ask, why would you need to speed boost a medium format camera? In this case, this is considered a large format camera, not medium format, slightly smaller than medium format, true medium format. And this allows you to get close or exactly to that field of view when you use larger lenses that have larger image circles. So here with me, I have the legendary Mamiya 645 80mm f1.9. And with this speed booster combined with these two, this becomes a 64mm, about a 1.4 on large format. And that is a dream. So really just that simple. Pop this open. I gotta clean my sensor. And really the philosophy of this rig is just being minimal. I don't want all the unnecessary things, and I wanna be able to just pick this up and test things, film things with my family. A very expensive camera to film for the family, but essentially that's what it's looking like. Now, I can just go right out straight up using the battery internally. It runs pretty well with this setup. It's not using much power because I'm not using the back of the screen as much. But I have this guy here that I've been meaning to talk about for the longest. This is the Core WX Edge power base, and this is called the Snap. I've had previous versions of this, but this is the newer one. This has magnets. At first it was concerning. I'm like, oh, is this gonna fall off? But listen to that snap. That's why they call it the Snap. It is locked in. And what you do, gives you a little indication of where it goes. So that's where the lens goes. Now, just two different ways to position this. I could go right underneath the camera, but the most balance is actually right on the mount because the the adapter actually has a 1/4-20 and 3/8 mount. I have another adapter there. But I could put it here, and that gives me a much more balanced setup, so when I sit it down, it doesn't fall over because of the lens and the weight of the lens. So let's actually just put that there just for the heck of it for this video. I did wish this has some rubber padding so it won't slip, but for the most part, once you tighten this down, there's not much movement. Let's get that squared up. I gotta have everything straight because I don't want to be looking crazy. Okay. So that's the plate. That's what the plate looks like. And all you do now is bring this little guy over. Now, this here, this USB-C is a PD power, and it's like some smart intelligence. You can kind of read what the specs are. And essentially, it will deliver the right amount of power to the camera based on this proprietary cable that they sell. And you have to use this to get the right delivery and the right data stream and all that stuff. So, here, we're gonna kind of talk about this a little later. I have these little caps because I took off this side because I'm rogue like that. Not a lot of people would do that to a camera that's expensive, but that's just me. And so you pop that on, and now you have power. In terms of balance, I just throw on this is my Peak Design, one of my 3 Peak Design straps. I like these because they're kind of heavy duty. This is the thinner one. I do have a larger one as well. Pop that on, and this acts as an anchor now. So once it's around my neck, I have this flipped up, and I am looking directly down this way. So I have 3 points of contact now. I have my hand on the lens, which is kind of resting underneath the battery here, and I could pull that way. I have the grip, so I can press record, and then I have my face pressed up against the EVF. And of course, I can't forget my Moment V&D. This is the higher stop one. This is the 6 to 9 stop because I am really pushing the limits of going wide open on this lens, and it lets in a lot of light. So I'm actually using the 6 to 9 stops on this particular setup for the time being, as I'm between 1.9 and 2.8. Relatively, this is a super compact rig for the GFX system. This is a behemoth of a camera. It is heavy. I know a lot of photographers don't like heavy cameras. I'm coming from the cinema world. This is very light in my opinion, and I can walk around with this easy, or I just have my bag, which we'll kind of get to a little later. So for those who think that this is too compact for them and they need more, like a cage and all that stuff, I got something just for you. All right, here's the second rig. We're gonna be using the SmallRig cage for the GFX 102. Lightweight, gives me enough ports where I can kind of still build it out a little bit. I have a Mondo tie here for the HDMI. You'll see that in a second. So let's go ahead and put this on. I'll spare you me putting this on. All right, so the cage is on the camera. Now the downside of this cage, it blocks the adapter. So I can't put the adapter on and keep it really simple. It doesn't go all the way in. You can see it blocks it. It's only made for the EVF. But the downside of just having the EVF there is that I don't like putting it up to my eye because I'm about 6 foot, and that just really doesn't give a nice perspective to the way I see the world. I like it waist level. So part of the cage, you have this dummy V-mount battery plate. It's an Arca plate, and actually just slides right onto the bottom of the cage here. I like to center that up, locks down, and then there you have it. So yeah, obviously that blocks the screen, and Fujifilm decided to only make a tilt screen and a partial swivel out, which doesn't make any sense, but that's what it is. So I do block this. I have all my custom settings to my GFX, which I actually need to make a video about that, but all my custom settings, so I don't have to worry about diving into the menus. I set it to where I want it and I rock. So in terms of battery solutions, I don't use the core because this is only a 48 watt-hour battery, and using a small HD monitor, it will drink this if I'm trying to power this and the camera. So I have my other SmallRig battery, the 99 Pro, I believe this is called, and it goes around the back there. Now, don't worry about that movement. You can just lock that in like so. And what this does actually, it does balance out the camera a lot more. So you can feel the weight in the back, you can feel a little bit of the weight in the front. And so the next thing I'm gonna do is add my monitor. The monitor obviously gives me better field of view, better daylight visibility, especially paired with the hood here. Now, granted, you can use any monitor that you want. I've always been a small HD snob, so that's what I use. And this bracket I'm putting on, this is from Wooden Camera. This is the tilt hinge bracket. There's two specific ones for the newer models of the small HD, so the Ultra 5. But this is the base, and the base goes in like that. Easy peasy. I like that this case has a 3/8 and area locking pin. So there's the hinge there. Come on. There's the hinge there. And then there it is for the camera. Pop that on. And this gives me a nice little range, tilt range motion here. Yeah, I don't like having a top handle with this rig. It just gets too tall. I want it fairly compact, because I'll show you why for my bag that we're gonna use. But that's what this looks like. We can get all the cables on there. And the hood does help with glare. It's not it's an overpriced hood for the material that it is. Classic small HD, but hey, they still make really good stuff with their monitors. But there's the hood. Yeah, you guys have seen this before. This is the Wooden Camera magnet ties. I like these, they're just quick and easy. Have them on most of my cables here. You can kind of see it here. And then let's see, how do I want to do this? Because it has that range of motion already, so I don't need to have the cable too loose. There you go. That's literally all I need. I can grab let me grab a battery. And this rig, I normally just kind of rock the internal battery. And if I do need to charge it, since this battery has USB-C out, I just grab a USB-C cable, plug it in, and charge it that way if I need to. But it runs pretty good, especially that I'm not using the screen, I'm not turning up the brightness. Almost forgot, the mic. Now you notice from the other rig that I didn't have a space to put on a mic, and that's probably one of the downsides of it. But I use that rig again to just walk around, grab clips, and I'll use the scratch off of the camera itself. The scratch on the GFX is actually kind of decent, but if I want something a little bit more juicier, I normally pull out my Sennheiser MK400 or the 200. The 200 is upstairs in my room right now, but the 200 is a lot shorter than this, but you just don't have the physical controls. It's just a straight up, whatever that camera preamps are, that's what you're going to get. And so with this, I have the windshield on, because I'm normally outside doing this. And I'll put it right here. Just a little, I wish there was a slightly wider space, but there is a cold shoe here. It does rub up against the monitor a little bit, but it's enough to still fit it in. The only thing is, I hate the fact that this cable is blue for one, and it's all the way on the other side, so I gotta, you know, zigzag it all the way over to hit the audio there. But anyway, it's in there. It's nice. That is the rig itself. But a question I get often, and especially from the last video I just posted, is how do I get smooth footage with the GFX or just really any camera handheld? And it's a couple of things. Let me walk you through it. Okay, so let's talk about getting handheld footage with a rig like this. The first thing that's always important is practice. If you're not making YouTube videos, that's totally fine, but just get out there, film your kids, film your dog, whatever that is. Get out there and practice, because if you're wondering how your footage is always shaky, I don't think you've done enough reps to understand how to get those movements. The second important thing is your camera. Now, I don't always use IBIS, but the GFX does have 8 stops of internal image stabilization. So that does help smooth out a lot of the jitters. More importantly than that is understanding what's your A and what's your B point. What am I pointing at? So like, for instance, let's get this sharp here. So right now I'm filming on the 80mm, which is about 64 equivalent with the speed booster. And another thing to note, wider angle lenses are easier to get smoother shots just because of the nature of the field of view. You get wider, you can kind of clean up a little bit of those jitters. It's more difficult with longer lenses, and you'll see here, I have my subject, which is going to be the camera, right? And do I have image stabilization on? Let me turn this off real quick. I hate that I can't turn it on and off. So now I'm gonna just turn it off. So you can kind of see all the micro jitters, but also the weight of this rig is really helpful. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start down here, right? And this is kind of like a 2 action, because I'm gonna focus on the grass and I get a little sway. Now I don't like to do a lot of sway, but this is gonna be our A point. So the A point, and I'm gonna start going up, pulling that focus, find my focus, and that's my B. Now I would do that a couple more times just to smooth it all out. But the fact that I have 3 points of contact with the strap here on my neck, the weight of the camera pulling gravity down, and then just letting it kind of glide in my hand. Now the next thing is using your hips and your legs and your arms. You want to be a human stabilizer essentially. Now I'm not saying just to go ahead and walk around, but essentially if you would have saw me, actually, let me just do here. Let me record it again. My stance is kind of wide. I'm not straight up. I'm not trying to hold the camera out like this. Like that's not going to give you any stability at all. So you want to get a better base. A better base, kind of bend your elbows. You want to absorb some of that weight as well. And then you just kind of get that shot. This is a terrible example using this tripod, but and I'm gonna pull focus to the back and then rack it back to the front. So yeah, those are the things I would do. I do all the time. Make sure your rig is adequate enough. If it is light, utilize image stabilization. The smoother your shot is with or without stabilization, the better it'll be when you need to stabilize it in DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro or anything like that. That's going to be very beneficial because it's not trying to correct all the shakiness. You want to get smooth shots in camera as best as you can, and it'll help stabilize it later in post. That's what I do. So now I do want to share how I carry these smaller rigs. First of all, this here is the Manfrotto Cine top loader. I believe that's what it's called. And I absolutely love these bags. I just picked up the small one. I have 2 other ones, the mediums, and these are really fantastic. They're built really nice. They hold a lot of stuff. And the only downside I have with them is that they are a pain to travel with because they do not roll. They're just a flat base top, kind of like not doctor style, but like front load type style. But they do fit in a lot and they do have nice padding. So let me kind of just walk you through what I normally have in here outside of the camera. So everything on this camera, you will see that I will have in this bag, especially depending on the build that I have. But in this case, some other essentials that I have, media, obviously when I have more than couple cards in here, I use the CFast Express cards from Angelbird. I have a 2 terabyte, 2 other 1 terabytes as well. Extremely fast. I haven't had any issues with these. I know people have different experiences, but I've been using Angelbird for years and very happy with them. And I just have my little kit from a long-time channel supporter, CRD bag or cord bag. Love these. These are the cubes. I've talked about these before in the channel too. But outside of that, if I need outside wall power, I have this Anker power brick. I should plug into the wall, and then a fast USB-C cable. This is the small HD one, but I also have the Anker one as well. So that stays up there. Anti-fog. I saw this from a DP when I was working with him because we were going in and out of a warm building and cold outside, as well as when you're in a cold building and it's hot outside. Quickly just spray this and wipe it down, and then you're pretty good to go. You don't have to wait for it to level itself out. Pretty cheap, easy to have in there. Now, these are, funny enough, I started a venture years ago and I'm still wanting to do this, but for the time being, I normally grab these silicone caps because since I take off the flaps on my cameras, except for the X-H2S, because they actually have some nice individual flaps. The GFX is one big panel, so once you open it, everything's exposed. I don't like that, so I took it off. And I normally have these little caps as a USB-C cap, mic cap, HDMI cap, And I keep this with me because when I take it out, it is a little tedious. Take it out of the camera, I put it in here so I won't lose it, but I have a bunch of extra ones in here as well. It has a front pouch here, and I normally keep my NDs in there. These are the Moment VNDs, as well as a CPL and some Cine Bloom just in case. Various sizes, but I always get asked what ND filters I recommend and use. For day-to-day, everything that I do, everything that you see on this channel, even you're looking through it right now, is a Moment VND. Been using these for about 4 years. They are crisp, clean, keep the color consistent. And even, you know, when you have higher stops of ND, you normally see IR pollution. These aren't rated as IR cut filters, but they act as if they are. And so I keep these on me all the time because depending on the lens, that has a few step-up rings too. I just have that ready, or if something breaks, I have backups. So yeah, in terms of the layout, it's very compact. I can just fit the battery, the camera with the lens in here, the monitor off to the side, and if there is room, if I'm not carrying this, my X100 VI, I just slide it in right here or in a smaller pouch here. And I have that as my BTS camera or, you know, product shot camera. This is the go-to camera for that. And yeah, that is the bag. It has a little strap. It's quite comfortable. And I try not to pack this too much. I just needed to just fit the camera for what I'm doing with an extra lens, and I can walk around with it, and it's just easy to go with. So yeah. All right, cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Stick around and subscribe because there will be more videos about the Fujifilm system and how I use it for work. There's gonna be a massive GFX video I'm planning to make, but also some other things in between, some lens tests here and there. So hopefully that's exciting for you, but hey, put in the comments below, what would you like to see on this channel as well? I'll do my best with the time that I have to make those videos. Cool, all right, see you later.